Hello and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Today I'm doing a book video. As you may have guessed, I'm standing in front of my bookcase. Friday will be an art video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, maybe leave a comment, maybe share, all those good things. We're almost at the end of June, and that means it's time to do the mid-year Freakout book tag. But I need to address this shelf. It's a mess. So, while me, Monday night Jenna, reorganizes this shelf in time-lapse, tomorrow, future, Tuesday morning Jenna, will voiceover or read you the companion blog post to today's video and tell you about all the books and authors I am picking this year for the mid-year Freakout.
Alright, Tuesday morning voiceover Jenna here. I'm winging this. There is no script, so it's gonna sound a bit rough. Disclaimer, kiddo is awake, she's playing in the background, you'll probably hear her. I'm sorry. I also wanted to mention, in case anybody's wondering as you watch, why it looks like the bookshelf suddenly gains more space as I put things back onto it near the end. I weeded out everything written by J.K. Rowling and didn't put it back on the shelf. I used to have it hidden behind books on shelves that were double stacked, but you know, they don't deserve to be taking up that much space. I've got a good sized stack of books waiting to be read next to me on the couch. They're gonna need a place to go in this newly organized shelf when I get to them, so why am I using up all of that valuable space with books that I don't want to accidentally showcase anymore? I've also decided to do away with having a dedicated TBR section because I'd really rather just group my books by authors and genres and what looks good on the shelf, show off what I want to show off on camera, hide what doesn't really interest me at the moment, and, you know, be free to be flexible with it, change it around. I have my full TBR recorded in a Google Docs spreadsheet anyway, so, you know, not that important. Let me know if you'd like a dedicated shelf tour video in the future so that I can walk you through the decisions I made and why they made them, and talk about the different trinkets you see me putting back on the shelf. Some of them have a lot of significance. I also wanted to mention, in case anyone was curious, I used to have the books I really wanted to feature fairly low in the frame, and that's because when I started doing BookTube on the separate second channel around this time last year, I was actually sitting in all of my videos. I had my camera placed much lower, and so that was the, you know, middle of the frame featured shelf. So this time I'm keeping that in mind and really making the higher shelves the features. So let's jump in to the mid-year Freakout book tag. I will link the companion post with all of my answers in the description box down below and in the pinned comment. You can check out last year's companion post for any other links I may have forgotten to include. I'm just gonna run through this. I'm assuming that they're still the same questions and we're just updating it for this year. If it's actually changed somewhere and nobody told me, I am sorry. I am going based off the questions I answered last year. Number 1, best book I've read so far in 2021, and my answer to that is The Darkness Outside Us by Eliot Schrefer. This is a Catherine Teagan Books, which is a division of HarperCollins, YA science fiction novel. It's LGBTQIA romance, man-loving man, 2 boys. Go read my dedicated review for this book. It's 5 stars. It's amazing. It's my new favorite book this year, and I was so excited that it was one of my physical arcs from the HCC Frenzy summer preview. The second question is the best sequel I've read so far in 2021. My answer for that is Pumpkin by Julie Murphy. This is a YA contemporary. It's also LGBTQIA friendly, and this is the 3rd book in the series that started with Dumplin. I was not aware until recently that Dumplin actually also has a movie. Didn't know that. And I haven't read Dumplin or the one that comes second, the one that comes in between. They are on my TBR. The audiobook for Dumplin has come up twice for me in Libby, and I just don't have time for it yet. Hopefully I will get to that in the next month or two. I rated Pumpkin 5 stars, and the full review is linked in the companion blog post for today. Question 3, new releases that I haven't read yet, but want to. This list is infinitely long, but I'll pick 3. Spells Trouble by PC Cast and Kristin Cast. This is the first book in their new YA fantasy series, Sisters of Salem, and it's mythology-based. It's mythology retelling. I'm particularly interested in this one because I loved the House of Night series when that was new. I must have read at least 8 of them. I'm not entirely sure where I stopped reading that series. I know they published more after I stopped, but I was kind of outgrowing it. I'm very excited to read this one. It is technically a NetGalley arc I should have already read. I had too much at the end of May when this one was publishing, so I am now waiting for my turn with the audiobook so I can blast through it, get my review out. My second book for this answer is Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. This was published in the middle of May by Harper Teen. It's also one of the ones that we previewed at the HCC Frenzy event, and this is a cute contemporary book. You could argue that it's romance or women's fiction. Basically, 2 competing booksellers in the same mall, only one can stay open, and in the midst of their rivalry, they do find love. Sounds pretty cute. The third on my list here is Murphy's Law for Demons by C.J. Pierce. This is a self-published novel from the 10th of March this year. It's dark fantasy, and I think the title tells it all. I'm expecting it to be kind of a Tad Hamilton type vibe. Really looking forward to getting to this one in my backlist. Number 4, my most anticipated release for the second half of 2021. I couldn't pick just one. I've also got 3 for this answer, and these are all books that I am expected to review on NetGalley. You will notice a theme, see if you can catch it. The first one, farthest out, is If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzales and Cale Dietrich. This is publishing on the 7th of December by Wednesday Books. It's a contemporary romance, man loves man, LGBTQIA friendly. It's fairly long at 416, and I have heard great things about this one. The second one on my list is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao. This is being published in November, 2nd of November by Wednesday Books, and this is a contemporary romance with magical realism. Normally, I'm not too into just plain old contemporary romance, but I love me some magical realism, and I don't know, the reviews I've been hearing say it's LGBTQI friendly. I don't think the main characters are. I've heard LGBTQIA things about it. I may be wrong. I may be attributing that to something else. Either way, looks really good. I've actually heard mixed reviews, but the good reviews are great, and the bad reviews are just, this one didn't do it for me. Third on the list, Before We Disappear by Shaun David Hutchinson, publishing in September on the 28th. This is a Harper Teen book, and I've actually got an audiobook arc to review. This is a historical fantasy, and it's an LGBTQIA man loves man romance. See the theme yet? I'm really looking forward to this one. I don't even remember what this one's supposed to be about. I just know it seems really, really cool. And, you know, historical fantasy is my jam. Question number 5, my biggest disappointment so far in 2021. So, I have heard amazing things about Ace of Spades by Faridah. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce her last name right this second. I have looked it up, I have seen it spelled out phonetically, and I forget. I'm very sorry, Faridah. Ace of Spades, this is published by Macmillan, June 1st, right in time for Pride Month. I got audio arc access to it after it was published, so it was a rush to listen to it before it archived and disappeared on me. And I felt pressured to review this one because everybody in the review game is trying to get their hands on all of the Own Voices Black author books. And I follow Faridah on Twitter. I really love interacting with all of her stuff. It seems like everybody loves this book. I didn't. I DNF'd at about 20% through. This one, it's a Gossip Girl retelling, but updated for this decade. And there's nothing new about it. So I don't know. Maybe at a time when I'm a little more bored, I would enjoy it more because I would have the patience to get into it, even though it's just straight up Gossip Girl, but this decade and black characters. It also, I've seen some less positive but still high reviews that say this is very adults playing teens on TV, which makes sense because it seems like a Gossip Girl ripoff, and back when that was popular, that was the end of two old actors playing teens, so, you know, it fits with what it is. It's very hello fellow kids, and I wasn't into it. Number 6, my biggest surprise so far in 2021. The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. This was published in March by Minotaur Books. It's a thriller, and this is one of those ones where, like, sometimes when you're a NetGalley reviewer, sometimes you'll get emails that are just, hey, did you notice this one yet? This one's great. You should go request this one. That was one of these. It was a complete impulse. And then I started to regret it. I didn't connect with the synopsis. I didn't think I would like it. Turns out this is a very gothic-esque thriller. It's got a lot of mystery element to it, and it's set in Sweden. I'm almost half Norwegian when you add up all my heritage. I was raised with a lot of Norwegian cultural stuff left over, and I'm a sucker for anything Scandinavian. Swedish and Norwegian cultures are extremely similar. The landscape's very similar. It's set in Sweden, so the setting is very similar. It's very much what I want to go see for myself someday. So that drew me right in, and then the story was amazing. I rated it 5 stars, which completely surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like this one. Number 7, my new favorite author. Well, I could list pretty much any of the above authors of the books that I liked that I've already used for answers, but I would also like to give a huge shout out to Jonathan Nevair, the author of Goodbye to the Sun. I just reviewed his book with a tour with Storytellers on Tour. I was actually on the cover reveal tour first, and not only did Jonathan make every effort to share everybody's tweets and share everybody's blog posts on his social media, he individually emailed every single one of us and thanked us, and it was so sweet. And I told him, like, this sounds great. I'm really excited about this one. I'm going to make sure I am on your review team when you're on the review tour. And he emailed me to remind me to sign up when that came out, and I had actually just signed up because I jumped on that when the email came in. And we've been talking since. I loved his book. I rated it 4.5 stars. It was almost 5. I'm really looking forward to continuing the series. Not only did he then, once again, individually email me to thank me for it, he also asked my permission, nobody's ever done it before, to feature part of my review, to quote me in the book's listing. So, really cool. Great reviewer relationship with this author, and I'm really looking forward to more that he writes. It's not necessarily my most favorite book that I've read this year. It's really, really good, but definitely the most positive author relationship I have found this year. Number 8, my newest fictional crush. I'm going to say Sulfur from She's the One Who Gets in Fights. That's the 3rd book from the War Stories of the 7 Troublesome Sisters series by S.R. Cronin. I reviewed that one with Goddessfish Publishing last month, I believe. Possibly earlier this month. It released in May. I tried to get on the tour with Storytellers on Tour as well, but I don't think my email went in. She actually sent me a physical copy of this book. I don't have a physical copy of the previous 2, but I have reviewed all of them. I loved this one the most so far out of the series. I called it a 5. And the reason I love this one more than the previous 2 is Sulfur. I talked at length about this book in one of my recent videos, and of course I have the dedicated review, so go check it out. I won't waste our time. Number 9, my new favorite character. I'm gonna say Tensoon, followed closely by Sazed from the Mistborn books by Brandson Sanderson. I'm in a Discord-based book club this year where we're working through the Cosmere books, and then next year we'll pick another author or multiple authors who have multiple books, and read through them. I haven't done any of my reviews for the Mistborn series yet. We're about to start the 6th book, the closing of the first trilogy for the second era on July 1st. Really looking forward to it. But definitely my favorite character so far is Tensoon. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. For this one, I'm going to go with Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. That one published back in March with Swoon Reads. It's a YA fantasy and a fairy tale retelling based on, if you couldn't guess, Peter Pan. I also talked about this one in detail recently on a video, and I have the dedicated review, so you can go check it out. It wasn't my favorite. I only rated it 4 stars, whereas I rated Aiden's first book 5, but it's a very important and very fascinating book from a mental health and grief perspective, and yeah, it made me cry. Question 11, a book that made you happy. For this one, I'm going to say A Cat's Guide to Bonding with Dragons by Chris Behrsin. And this one came out actually last year, very end of December. But he's continuing to publish new books in the series. I've already reviewed the 2nd book, waiting on the 3rd book. It's supposed to be in July. I called this one 5 stars. It's hilarious. It is a Bengal cat that has been pulled from our reality into another reality where dragons exist, and a dragon decided to bond with him because the dragon doesn't want to bond with a human. So we've got this mundane world cat bonded to a dragon, suddenly has magical speech abilities, and there's an evil warlock out to get him. It's hilarious, it's clean fantasy, it's great. I recommend the entire series. Number 12, my favorite book-to-movie adaptation of 2021, and once again, just like last year, because of the pandemic, I haven't been to the theaters yet. I don't know. I haven't been to see a movie since the New Year holiday from 2019 going into 2020, and that was Star Wars. So, 13, my favorite review I've written so far in 2021. Again, I don't know which one to pick. I have so many favorites this year. I don't want to repeat from an earlier question, so I'm going to say check out my review for Amelia Unabridged by Ashley Schumacher. That one published in February by Wednesday Books. It's a YA contemporary. It has a lot of important stuff to say also about teenage mental health, grief, moving on. I loved it. Didn't expect to love it, but I loved it. Number 14, the most beautiful book I've bought so far in 2021. I don't think this cover design is the most beautiful, but as a whole package, it is the most beautiful, and it's the one I'm most excited about. I splurged on a signed, autographed, 20th anniversary edition hardcover of The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a big boy, it's heavy, it has red sprayed edges, it has the cover that was first released on the Spanish language edition, and not my favorite cover design for it, honestly. I do like the original English design best, but it is pretty. The overall package is gorgeous. And I finally have a hardcover of this book, and I finally have something autographed by Patrick Rothfuss. So that makes it more beautiful, and that makes me even more excited about it. Final question, number 15. What books do I still need to read by the end of the year? That list, that's way over 100 books long. I keep having to update my Goodreads reading goal because I'm reading more than I expect to. I will specifically mention Sisters of the Snake by Sasha and Serena Nanoa. This is a Harper Teen book that just published mid-June, like last week. This is a YA fantasy with Asian cultural influence, and it is written about teen sisters by teen sisters. It seems really, really good. This is the other physical arc I was supposed to receive from the HCC Frenzy Summer Catalog event. It didn't make it into the original shipping packaging. I don't know if they're resending it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I do have an ebook to review in its place. Eventually I'll get to it. Should have got to it before it published. I was too busy. I may end up waiting for the audiobook to come through on Libby. Anyway, this is going to be a very long video. I am sorry. It's probably going to go out late, like Wednesday morning late, rather than Tuesday. I am so sorry. But, it's here. It exists now. Enjoy. If you've done the mid-year Freakout tag, let me know where to find your video or post, and I will see you on Friday with an art video. If you're looking for more to watch, I've got some suggestions up on the left side of the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and if you like living life creatively, whatever that means to you, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Bye guys!